What's up, guys? For today's knife, we're talking about the Benchmade Contego. Let's do a quick 360. So Contego is Latin for shield. I'm starting to notice a trend with Benchmade knives. They like to name their knives after defensive things, I guess, to make them look less aggressive and less threatening. I would not consider this knife to be called a shield. I mean, I would have named it something more like along the lines of like a sword or something, but whatever. I think Contego is still a cool name for it. Anyways, going on to the talking points. First item is price. So this is not a cheap knife. Out the door, after taxes, after everything, I paid around $230. So that's how much you should expect to pay for this. Base price is probably around $208. I just don't want you to be surprised with the final price tag. Next item is fit and finish. I'm not going to get deep into it. Fit and finish is excellent. As with all of the Benchmade knives that I have had, that I have purchased. I don't know if anyone else has any negative experiences with Benchmade, but I have had no problems with fit and finish. The blade, you've got a reverse tanto blade. That's what they're classifying it as. I don't understand why they call these kinds of knives reverse tanto, but whatever. They call it a reverse tanto, and it is made out of M4. And looking up on the internets, M4, I guess, is some kind of super steel, and in my experience, it has proven to be a super steel. It cuts and pokes extremely well. Next item is the handle and liners. So the handle scales, I believe, is G10, or at least that's what it feels like. What I noticed on other people's reviews were that they were complaining how aggressive the texturing was and that it was just tearing up their hands and destroying their pockets. I have not had this experience. Granted, I have not used this knife like for hours on end. But just using it a normal amount, like any normal person would use a knife, it's not uncomfortable, it's not unpleasant to hold. There is aggressive texturing, but it's not to the point that I was reading about on the reviews. It feels perfectly comfortable to me. And I mean, I can imagine using this for that much time, it would start to tear up your hands, but that applies to any knife. You use any tool for that much time, it's going to tear up your hands. So very comfortable, I think. You've got jimping on the top and on the bottom here, so you can get a really good secure purchase on this handle. The liners are all metal, full metal liners, so that's good. There really is not much, you can't really compress the handle, so that's good too. It just feels solid throughout the whole knife, and you've got a metal backspacer too. Next item is the lockup. So you've got the access lock, which is a fantastic locking mechanism. I mean, you saw how smoothly that comes, and this is out the box. I didn't adjust anything on this knife. So deployment is fantastic, and lockup is extremely secure. There is absolutely no vertical blade play whatsoever, none at all. There is some lateral. However, it's not visible. I can only just kind of feel it on the tip of my fingers, so I'm not going to dock any points on blade play. But deployment and shutting the knife, it's just so enjoyable. Alright, next item is, does it carry well? Ergonomics, weight, comfort, etc. Ergonomics is good. I could say it could have been better. My biggest complaint with ergonomics is they have this big choil right here. I would have preferred if they cut this choil in half to have 2 finger choils, but I mean, other than that, that's really my only complaint, and that's not even major. Other than that, like I said before, you've got a really good secure grip on this handle. I have no fear that I'm ever gonna, lose control of this knife. As far as weight goes, I've got a scale this time. See, I'm upgrading the channel, bringing fancy stuff, buying fancy equipment with all the money I'm making on YouTube. So we're looking at 5 5/8 ounces. So not light, but not heavy. Some people will complain like, oh, it's heavier than 3 ounces, But for me, that's really nothing. It's comfortable to carry. I mean, if you're wearing skimpy gym shorts, then yeah, it's going to be a little bit heavy, but in regular pants, it's great. Pocketability is fantastic. You've got a deep carry Benchmade clip right there. And yeah, that's all I got to say about carrying. I would say excellent. They did an excellent job on the carryability of this knife. Next item is it worth the price? So that's a tricky question because I want to say yes, it's worth every penny of the $230 that I spent. But that's also because I'm comparing that to other ridiculously expensive Benchmade knives. And so maybe I'm just brainwashed into thinking a knife of this quality should be that much. But I mean, as long as we're just comparing, if we're saying that Benchmade prices are the standard, then I would say yeah, $230 is it's definitely worth that price, because you're really not paying that much more when you're comparing this knife to, let's say, a 940. And that's really what this knife looks like to me. This looks like if 940 was Superman, then the Contego is Doomsday. Like, this is the 940 on steroids. And also, this one appeals to me so much more because it looks cool. You know, it looks mean, tough, but also useful for everyday stuff. I'm a fan of bigger blades, so that's why I picked this one over the 940. But yeah, I guess without getting too deep into it, in my personal opinion, I think $230 is reasonable for this knife. That's after taxes, by the way. You're gonna find this for like $200 to $210. Just remember that $230 to $240 is what you're gonna pay out the door. Should you buy it? If you're a collector, a worker, etc., I'm gonna say yes to both. If you're a working man, this knife is going to meet all your needs. It's going to do everything that you ask of it. And if you're a collector, I mean, yeah, you should collect all knives. And this one is worth it, in my opinion. Oh, I didn't even mention there's a glass breaker on the bottom, so that's always a good function or feature to have in your knife. So, wrapping up with my overall thoughts, I'm pleased with this knife. I think it's great for carrying, easy one-hand deployment. It looks cool, so you know you can whip this out to all your other knife aficionados, and they're gonna be like, "Oh wow, that's a badass knife." It's useful, it's handy, good for self-defense, good for utilitarian purposes. The only downside is that it's not a cheap knife. In a perfect world, you know, it would be maybe $100, but I think if you've got the cash, you should buy it. And if you really got your mind or your eyes set on this knife, then I think it'll be worth the buy. If you just save, you know, if you just wait a couple weeks, couple paychecks, and you save up for it, then I don't think you will be disappointed. So good job, Benchmade. And that's really all I got for now. Thanks for watching. I hope that this video helps you with your next knife purchase. And tune in for my next review. All right, bye.